Hey SuperVids fam, it's Ash from SuperVideos and welcome to the first episode of our comparison series, where we dive into two of the biggest post-apocalyptic zombie TV series, The Walking Dead and The Last of Us. Today, we'll be focusing on the visuals and world-building aspects of these shows and comparing their visuals, atmosphere, and apocalyptic environments. Stay tuned, we'll be right back to kickstart episode 1. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, if you enjoyed the video by the end, smash that like button. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to join our community and press that little bell button to be notified when there's new uploads on the channel. So let's get into it. Now before we jump into the details, let's address the difference in the number of seasons between the two shows. The Walking Dead has a whopping 11 seasons under its belt, while The Last of Us has only 1, with another in the pipeline. This difference sets them apart in terms of the size of their worlds and the number of characters. Additionally, The Walking Dead has spin-offs planned for its main characters, like Daryl, Maggie, Rick, and Michonne, expanding the universe even further, with several spin-offs that are ending or have ended. On the other hand, The Last of Us has a more focused storyline and character development, giving us a tightly woven narrative. In this first episode, let's break down and compare the visuals and world building between the two series. On one hand, we have The Walking Dead's opening minutes with a fantastic cold open showing the protagonist shooting a little girl to death who's turned into a zombie, aka the teddy bear Walker. This opener was a fantastic way to show us what type of world this is, presenting the gritty and dark post-apocalyptic world of The Walking Dead without any filters, any sugarcoating, and not shying away from anything. On the other hand, The Last of Us pilot gives us a cold open that isn't trying to put you in the middle of everything right away. It takes its time with an effective dialogue between scientists to tell you what the cordyceps fungus can do if they infest the human population and why we should worry. It's effective because it's useful information to both players of the game and TV-only viewers. It tells us info that is crucial in understanding what we're dealing with. It might not be as dark and emotionally charged as the cold open of The Walking Dead in theory, but the dialogue is so chilling. It gives you a sense of dread that you carry with you until the end of the episode. The final line from the opener, quote unquote, "we lose," is enough to get your attention and make you realize this is not a story about finding a cure. It's not about fixing anything or turning things around. It's survival of the fittest. But it is a great segue to Ellie being a potential candidate for creating a vaccine. And that's what makes it effective. It gives those who have not played the game a false sense of dread, but turns it around when the Ellie reveal comes. So based on this information alone, The Last of Us premiere cold open is much better and impactful because it directly ties in with the main story. The Walking Dead's opener doesn't necessarily link to anything that comes after it, but in the case of The Last of Us, there's no fancy scene to scare you or make you feel emotional like The Walking Dead's opener, but it's a simple interview that gives you everything relevant you need to know, enough to send shivers down your spine. The Walking Dead does a phenomenal job setting the gritty, dark tone of the story, only with the visuals, both the environment and the zombies. We follow Rick as he wakes up from his coma and encounters the horror that the world has turned into. We have some fantastic, scary visuals of him walking through the hospital corridors, seeing decomposing corpses coming up to the iconic "Don't Open, Dead Inside" door, leaving the hospital and facing dozens and dozens of decomposing bodies in body bags, and then later coming across the bicycle girl Walker, visually gritty, emotionally charged, and gut-wrenching. The Walking Dead pilot has a setup story that is calm but terrifying. On the flip side, the pilot of The Last of Us sets everything up in a way that is more story-driven and with a higher tempo and more action. The Walking Dead setup ends with a great visual look at the new post-apocalyptic world as Rick Grimes leaves to find his family. On the other hand, the setup of The Last of Us ends with a sad, gut-wrenching scene with Joel losing Sarah. This scene was of course one of the highlights of the first game. The Walking Dead started off strong with its post-apocalyptic world building, immersing us in a desolate and dangerous landscape. They turned the world of the Walking Dead comic book into an even more eerie and dark one. From the abandoned cities overrun by nature to the eerie forests and desolate highways, the show created a haunting atmosphere. As the series progressed, the focus shifted more towards the interpersonal conflicts and character dynamics, and the emphasis on world building gradually diminished, or at least fans saw them only in rare occasions, like big budget episodes like the season 9 premiere and the series finale. This led to missed opportunities in further exploring the depths of the post-apocalyptic world. On the other hand, The Last of Us, originally a critically acclaimed video game, did a remarkable job of bringing its world to life on the screen. The game's adaptation successfully captured the dark and atmospheric environments, from the overgrown cities reclaimed by nature to the decaying buildings and hauntingly beautiful landscapes. The Last of Us presented a visually stunning and immersive world. However, it's worth noting that the adaptation was limited in scope compared to the potential of the source material. As someone who has visited the set locations where they filmed, I can say that there was so much untapped potential to delve even deeper into the world, and it's a missed opportunity. From set locations that were not utilized to their potential despite being built, to storylines being scratched or rushed where the environment is front and center, to utilizing cardboard scenery techniques when convenient to reserve the budget. One aspect that sets these two series apart is the handling of time jumps. The Last of Us adaptation was unable to effectively use the time jump to highlight the change in the environment. We saw the after, but we didn't see the before to showcase how we got there. This was obviously a missed opportunity to showcase the evolution of the world and its impact on the characters. On the other hand, The Walking Dead, while initially successful in showcasing the post-apocalyptic transformation, couldn't sustain the same level of focus on world building in the long run. However, the focus of new spin-offs such as The Walking Dead Summit, Dead City, and the Daryl Dixon show with working title Raise the Dead on the apocalyptic world building and visuals indicates a possible shift in direction, suggesting a renewed emphasis on the environment and the exploration of new territories. With that said, just like The Last of Us, future Walking Dead spin-offs also seem to heavily rely on cardboard scenery techniques that I mentioned before. Well, that's a wrap for the first episode. We've compared the world building aspects of The Walking Dead and The Last of Us, highlighting their strengths and missed opportunities. The Walking Dead, with its extensive seasons and spin-offs, created a vast world, but gradually shifted its focus away from world building. On the other hand, The Last of Us adaptation brought its visually stunning and immersive world to life, but fell short in fully utilizing the potential of the source material. Both shows have their unique strengths and weaknesses when it comes to world building, and it will be interesting to see how they continue to evolve and how much focus the future of both of these franchises will have on the world building and visuals. Don't miss our next episode, where we'll be continuing our discussion on The Walking Dead and The Last of Us, taking a closer look at characters in both shows and how they have developed over time. We'll be asking ourselves who are the most memorable characters and what makes them stand out. So tune in next time to find out. If you enjoyed this, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.